Hello, world. Welcome to the Founders, Futurists, and Failures podcast. I am your host, Conor Flynn, and today I am delighted to have Zufi Deo on the show. Zufi is a co founder of BizGees, a company that uses alternative finance to organize interest free microfinance for refugee entrepreneurs. BizGees won the Infosys Challenge for Financial Inclusion at the UNICEF FinTech Jam for Good 2016. The company was also part of the F10 FinTech Accelerator program in Zurich. Zufi's role at BizGees is focused on strategy and marketing. He is also an entrepreneur in residence at artFix London and was named one of the United Kingdom's top 50 business advisors in 2014. Our show today is brought to you by Startup Commons as well as entrepreneurial in an effort to support entrepreneurial best practice sharing. Startup Commons specializes in scaling entrepreneurship and innovation by working in partnership with startup ecosystem cornerstone organizations such as governments and higher education institutions to develop environments in which startups can flourish. Entrepreneurial works to prepare the next generation of entrepreneurial leaders for careers in startups, impact investing, and economic development. Now, let's hear from Zufi Deo about financial inclusion, fintech, and refugee entrepreneurs. Why did you decide to start BizGees? What problem are you addressing?
We were at the UNICEF FinTech Jam for Good in 2016 here in London, and I was working on a peace building project in northern Pakistan called the Swat Valley Guild. And we were looking to use fintech there. We were trying to understand how we could leverage financial technology to financially include the people there into digital currencies, e-wallets, those kind of things there. And by the time the fintech jam was over, we had come up with BizGees. Basically, what had happened was that we understood by the end of day one that we couldn't use fintech in a big way in that region because of its geography. There are a lot of mountains there. It's difficult to bounce signals over them, those kind of things there. And you had to generate an entire ecosystem of technology based transactions for fintech to be leveraged successfully. So we then decided to apply all our learnings in the first day and a half to another segment of society we felt that was financially excluded. So it took us a few hours. So we scanned the environment, and then we noticed that refugees had as big a problem, if not bigger, than what we're trying to solve in the Swat Valley. There are over 65 million people who are displaced globally. They can't access mainstream financial services simply because they have changed geography. They do want to take ownership of their lives, and they do want to do something with themselves, but they can't do it because they can't access the system. So that's the core problem we're looking to solve with BizGees, is helping displaced people across the world access the financial system.
Excellent. That's amazing how you were able to pivot to refugees when you figured out that fintech wasn't applicable to your initial market.
Yes, just on that, I agree. It was about applying the learning to a financially excluded community. And just to give you an idea, today there are over 2 billion people that are financially excluded. So we felt that financial technology can support us in lowering that number very significantly.
Great. So obviously refugees are a financially excluded population. And so what causes contribute to refugee issues?
For refugees, the biggest concern is the displacement. If you look at, say, the causes of displacement, they range from climate change to conflict. In fact, climate change is a bigger reason for displacement across the world than conflict nowadays. So this affects all of us, not just the developing world or the developed world. All of us who exist on this planet are affected by it. So in Florida, for instance, the hurricanes that come there, to the Caribbean islands, to Puerto Rico, to Bangladesh, where a lot of the refugees are coming on from Myanmar, from Afghanistan, to the Middle East, to Middle Africa. So when we talk about refugees or displaced people, we're talking about people like yourself and myself who have to leave a geography, who have to leave their homes and go and live somewhere else. And because they are new to that environment, they have problems settling in, they have problems accessing the financial system, and they have problems getting on with their lives. To give you an example, uh, being a refugee today is a temporary status. However, that temporary status lasts for, on average, 17 years. So if you are a refugee today, you will be a refugee for 17 years. However, the status as being a refugee is only a temporary one. So you're stuck in this no-win situation where people expect you yourself, and people expect you to be a refugee for a short period of time. However, it can last for generations, and this has an impact on your family life, on your schooling, on your education, on your careers, on how you organize your lives, um, on your children. So all these issues come up simply because you're in a new geography and you're expecting to be there for 6 months, or 8 months, or a year, or 2 years at the most. But you're there for at least a generation, if not longer.
Very interesting. And so, how exactly have you decided to address the refugee issues with fintech? And could you please elaborate on your solutions?
Our focus has been on using fintech to solve these problems by using design thinking. So we decided very early on that we wanted to focus on refugees and understand them very well, and then work our way backwards. So we visited, for instance, Zatari, the UN camp in Jordan, to do our user experience uh, interviews and testing. So we worked with our mentors and some local professionals in Switzerland when we were based at the F10 fintech program there. We flew to Jordan. We took our storybooks with us. We engaged with the refugees there. We understood their needs and we validated the problems we wanted to solve. And then we worked our way backwards. So now we're at a stage where we've pivoted away from Jordan to Uganda for various reasons. However, the solutions we're coming up with are very precise, and they're designed purely for refugees in a way that other organizations simply won't do it. To them, they bolt on concerns for refugees. We are customizing something based platform designed specifically for refugees, and then working our way outwards from there. So that means that the wastage rates are low, the adoption rates among the refugees is higher, the impact among the refugees is higher, and it's something that can be scaled globally as well.
Wow, it sounds like working your ways backwards with design thinking really helped you to deepen your impact.
Yes, just building on that, I mean, it allows us to to treat refugees as set of people and understand their needs as people, and then generate solutions designed for them as people. So this means their human needs, this means their financial records needs, this means the need for access to financial services. So we've combined all these three together to generate solutions specifically designed for them.
Excellent. How are you collaborating with partner organizations to develop your solutions?
Sure, our focus is on using fintech and generating financial services, but we also understand that the refugees have a broader range of needs. So, for instance, mental health concerns are higher among refugee populations than your average population. They have a need that they have needs for training, they have needs for learning and development, so these kind of needs as well. But we are financial services specialists, so we understand that they have these needs. So instead of us spreading ourselves more broadly and accommodating all the holistic needs they have, we tend to work with other organizations like artFix in London. They nurture creativity among average people by going to them on the high street and supporting them with their creativity needs. So they're working with us in terms of understanding how we can use arts-based therapy to nurture the soft skills among refugee populations. Another collaboration is Wessex Social Ventures. So WSV Global, they have designed business-in-a-box solutions for low-income communities in the developing world. And we work with them to provide that support to refugee populations. So we have custom designed a specific financial service for refugees by working with these partners. So this way, the refugee populations can be included into the business box solutions in a way that allows them to nurture the soft skills and allows them to learn about entrepreneurship, access training to become entrepreneurs, and set up successful micro businesses as part of that process. So we couldn't have done this without without these collaborations or taking a collaborative approach with delivery partners.
Great. The art therapy and business in a box sound intriguing. What impact do you see technology and entrepreneurship having on financial inclusion?
My personal opinion is that technology is a big disruptor. It is disrupting the financial services in a humongous way. So traditionally, financial services have been designed for high net individuals. Using technology, we are making that standard of professionalism available to low-income communities, including the refugees. So we feel that just because people don't have access to funds doesn't mean to say they have no value. So we are treating these vulnerable communities as communities who are valuable and custom designing solutions for them using technology. And entrepreneurship as a mechanism is very powerful among them because it is an empowering instrument that allows them to take ownership of their lives and to take responsibility for themselves and those around them. So entrepreneurs create wealth and they create jobs, two of the biggest things that are needed in the developing world.
Absolutely brilliant. Now we're going to get into some more personal questions. Do you have any mentors and what have they taught you?
Sure, we've taken the approach with BizGees is to build a team of advisors and mentors from the onset. So, for instance, we are planning to use blockchain in a big way in what we do. So, we are one of our advisors is a blockchain specialist from MIT. He was a tech lead on Microchain, which is a custom designed blockchain customization for what we do. However, he's based in the US. So, from our point of view, is that we access his expertise as and when we need it. And we have other similar advisors in the legal sector, for instance. There's a Swiss law firm that's been supporting us for a year now. So Yana, our legal advisor, she's been very helpful. Our investment advisor, Stephanie, she's been exceptionally supportive of what we've been doing over the last year. She helped us through introductions in Jordan. She's supported us understanding how to structure ourselves as an organization to meet the needs of investors. Killian Kleinschmidt, he used to be account manager in Zatari. He's been very supportive in terms of us understanding the landscape, the needs of the local populations and the refugee populations. Lars, who was our mentor during the F10 program in Zurich, he comes from a design thinking background, so it was very useful working with him in terms of validating our approach and what we wanted to do and the processes that we were using. And so the list goes on. So if you look at, say, Jerry Creedon, for instance, he used to work with Lord Hamlin, one of the most successful British entrepreneurs of the last century. And so he has an in-depth understanding of what entrepreneurial organizations look like, how they structure the financial situation, these kind of things there. So collectively, all these people come together and give us access to their expertise. If you look at, say, Michael Moon, he's our advisor that we meet with him on a weekly basis. He is helping us scale and grow the project. He has worked with people like Steve Jobs and other successful startups coming from the Silicon Valley. So all put together, all those experts that we can access as mentors, as coaches, as advisors, allow us to reduce our risk of failure and understand how to build a successful, viable business right from the onset.
Great. I hope our listeners can take from you the importance of having a skilled advisory board and a strong network of mentors.
I think that, one of the biggest problems startups have is a skills deficit, is an expertise deficit. And one of the ways to plug that deficit is by working with experts. But the problem with experts is they're rarely available on the open market to hire on a full-time basis. So having them as advisors is a useful substitute for that, because this way you can access them without having to hire them on a full-time basis, but you still benefit from their expertise up to a large degree.
Definitely. So what do you like to do when you are not working on BizGees?
I I love to go walking. I cycle quite a lot, but my my social life has sort of taken a big hit since I set up BizGees. So what I'm hoping is that as time goes on and it stabilizes a little, I'll start to socialize again once more.
Great, yeah. And that's what I like to do too, is just go walking a lot and when I'm not working on things. So what challenges have you faced in launching BizGees?
The biggest challenge we have faced with BizGees is educating the marketplace about refugee entrepreneurs, because the public today still don't associate refugees with entrepreneurship. They see refugees as vulnerable people, as dependents who are vulnerable on the host community, and they see entrepreneurs as wealth creators and job creators. So, for some reason, they don't commonly associate the two together. So, we have spent over a year trying to figure out how to go about engaging the public on this. And one of the reasons we're using crowdfunding as a way to raise finance for what we do is so that we can engage the public and educate them on the concept of refugee entrepreneurs. So this way, they get to engage with the refugees. They get to experience how they can take ownership of their own lives, and they can then change that misperception they have of refugees as being purely dependent on society when they're willing to take ownership of their own lives.
Yes, the education piece is very important, and I hope this podcast can help with that initiative. And personally,
Yes,
I've noticed that at least in the United States, the majority of the best entrepreneurs are first generation immigrants.
yes. That's a standard case in most places in the world. I remember I used to mentor at King's College London. I mentored there for 6 years. And one of the years, I think Amadeus Capital, which is one of the largest or most prominent investors in London, gave a talk there. And the CEO was saying that majority of his investments go to first generation migrants. So it's the same case here in the UK as well as the US. Migrants do tend to go into entrepreneurship simply because they lack access to local social networks. And so they have to take ownership of their own lives using entrepreneurship as a mechanism. And yes, so it'd be great to dig into this deeper in future podcasts if we can organize any.
Oh, definitely. That'd be a great topic. So, is there any way that our audience can get involved with BizGees and empowering refugees?
Yes, we are organizing crowdfunding campaigns on a regular basis. So if you go to www.bizgees, that's BIZGEES.org, we have a crowdfunding page up where you can leave your details and we can get in touch with you as soon as we launch our crowdfunding campaigns. The crowdfunding allows us to raise base capital that we can then structure into financial services for the refugees. And we are doing this in a very innovative way. So it'd be great to have your feedback. It'd be great to engage with you. It'd be great to discuss this further with you as much as possible.
Wonderful. Well, I hope audience has learned more about refugees and entrepreneurship. And so thank you so much for coming on the show, Zufi.
Well,
For our
thank you for the
audience,
invitation.
of course, and our audience should go to bizgees.org, check out the website, all the initiatives, the partners, and the crowdfunding campaign. And yeah, we hope that you take something valuable away from learning about refugees today. Thank you, Zufi.
Well, pleasure. I look forward to your support going forward.